Welcome to episode 19 of Basement Quality Banter. Tonight we have myself and Angus talking shit about shit. How are you this evening, Angus?
Good. Hang on.
Oh, pouring beer as we speak.
Yeah, I'm trying to. My Belgian's just gone very Belgian.
A bit of a lively one. Oh, look at that. Beautiful head for those watching us. Um,
So I don't know if I can get close enough. You can see the carbonation in it.
it's very lively by the look of it.
Pretty happy with that. Yeah, it's probably about three and a half vol. Yeah, it's very bubbly.
Yeah, nice.
I
And
like it.
flavor-wise,
Yeah, it's very clean. Can't say that I can pick out any kind of lemon notes or anything out of it.
how's it go with the yeast profile?
Yeah, it's still pretty fresh. Blah, 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 blah.
Thoughtful, thoughtful thinking there.
Yeah, it's not certainly not um faulty or anything, but like, the flavors haven't blended yet. The alcohol's still a bit boozy. Um, I think there's still a bit of yeast in it for my allergies. I know there's a lot of yeast in there,
Yep.
but it's clear. I'm really happy with the color on that. It's really nice.
Yeah, you must have filtered it well before bottling.
I just cold crashed it for uh 2 weeks.
Yep.
So I went through a stage of filtering my home brews, but I thought it just stripped too much flavor out, especially the pale ales and IPAs and things.
Yep.
And it's just a real pain in the ass, basically.
Yeah.
Doing it on on a homebrew scale. Different again story when you got 1,000 liters or whatever, but if you
You
got
waste
25,
you waste too much beer and flavor if you filter the little stuff, don't you? Yeah. Well, I'm having the 25th anniversary Cooper's Vintage Ale, um, which was released in
nice.
Queensland today. Um, it's lovely amber in colour, 7.5%, like they always are. But this one's probably the easiest drinking one I can remember having in years. It's really well balanced. So um, it's the 25th release of what was originally a Christmas ale, originally marketed as extra strong vintage ale. I'm sure a lot of us remember the cream label and the foil tops. Um, this edition is a little fruitier than last year. However, as is tradition, they change the hops every edition. This year it's Southern Cross and Peacherine. Peacherine hops I haven't had much to do with, but I know where it gets its name from. There is a little bit of a tangerine peachness to the flavor profile. If all goes well, I'm looking forward to a decent vertical, perhaps later this month or early next month with the Cooper's rep that I've become acquaintance with. So she said she's got vintages back to 2014. So
Choice.
that would be really cool. They say this one can be aged 3 to 5 years. Um, yeah, I still think 2012 was the best. Last year's was really good. This one is really easy drinking. It's really well balanced. So uh, very cool. I do enjoy that every year, and try and buy myself a 6 pack for Father's Day. So um, it may be a little bit early this year, but yeah.
Where'd
Today,
you get that from? Dan's or
yeah. Released
Dan's?
today
Yep.
in Queensland. I think South Australia had it last week.
All right, cool. I might pop down to my local Dan's.
Yep, yep. I'm sure. I know Dan's has it. I'm sure Indies will have it. I'm sure a few places will get it. Limited amount, so grab some while you can. Um, Speaking of Indy, today Kylie Lethbridge has resigned as the CEO of the IBA to take up the general manager role at Australian Distillers Association. Kylie has overlooked probably the 5 hardest years of the IBA. Apparently, her second day in the job was the first day of lockdown, something like that. Um,
Jeez.
yeah, so changing market, resulting in the cancellation of a couple of brew cons, indies last year or this year, um, while still trying to advocate for all things beer with the reduced, um, support from breweries who were endlessly going into voluntary administrations, consolidations, and even worse, liquidations. Um, it's really changed the beer landscape. It's probably harder now for these groups to penetrate the market than it ever has been with multinational companies. Um, and always the draconian tax regime, which we've seen probably with a lot of people in the last week, especially with beers and spirits. So, look, it's really tough. I popped it in my personal feed today, and some people thought that maybe the Australian distillers and independent brewers maybe should merge with
Yeah.
some common goals. Like they both have the same really bad tax system. They both have huge international. I think Diageo's massive, so I think there's huge international, multinational companies. They still buy grain and cans from Australian producers and things like that. It might not be a bad idea to maybe if those two organisations can combine their strengths to um, come up with like an independent distillers, independent brewers association or something like that. That would be. I thought that was a really good comment from. I think it was Jason on my Facebook. So yeah, but we'll
That's an
see.
interesting idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I imagine it's an absolutely thankless job being head of the IBA. Um, you're constantly belting your head against a brick wall and getting the same answers back. And I imagine it's the same for the Distillers Association as well. They just don't have the budget or the ears of the politicians that the wine industry has.
No, well, they get
So
$20 million a year for Wine Australia, um, just to because it's an exportable product, whereas beer a lot less, but spirits can be. But it's what they call themselves a mature market, whereas spirits and beers aren't a mature market. And I really think there's room for something like that combined to stick up for independent producers. Otherwise, we're going to end up not having any producers here. That'll all be imports or foreign owned. Yeah, and that's my 2 cents.
yeah, yeah, it's interesting that the beer as a product in Australia doesn't have prestige that wine has. Um, Certainly, you can make beers that are aged long. You were just talking about your beer aging 3 to 5 years.
Yep.
That's just an off-the-shelf beer, right? That's a mature exportable product,
Hmm.
but it's just not seen that way. And yeah, my beer, I'll leave that in probably 16, 18 months before I start drinking it properly.
Yep.
So there is beer that is stable and can survive overseas travel and is marketable. Just that I know the beer industry in Australia seems to really typecast as like we all bang on about it. The 3 degree fizzy cold clear lagers, and that seems to be the mindset.
Yeah, the bad perception that we've got worldwide, I guess. Um, in saying that, if you're talking about flavour, Feral is loose. Back to our normal programming of love for WA this week. Um,
Awesome, yeah.
yeah, the Feral Department of Information and Propaganda released a video today. It was a serious alert regarding feral capsules escaping Feral's laboratories and mistakenly ending up in pubs and bottle shops nationwide. I love the campaign, such a great execution, reintroduction of the brand new labels, everything like that. The three releases are Hop Hog, the 5.8 American Pale Ale that many contribute as their craft awakening beer. The Biggie 6% East Coast IPA, you might remember being called Biggie Juice, created as a collaboration with the Royston Hotel, whose owner's nickname is Biggie. It was a massive hit, had Notorious B.I.G. on the can, and then that moved to a hog on the can, and that went national. I think it was huge at Gabs too. And lastly, Warhog, the 7.5% West Coast IPA, which sounds brilliant. This is all on the back of Charlotte's first beer as Boss Bitch Brewer. Their words, not mine, which was redacted, an oat cream IPA. So everything is looking good for Feral. I love the campaign. I love the branding. Can't wait for it to get over here on the East Coast. I'm definitely going to hit up those three releases that are coming out as sort of core range. Yeah, everything about it I love. I think they've done a really good job.
Was Biggie Juice one of the first? I guess you call them hazies now. Was that one of the first kind of juicy IPAs? I seem to recall that.
It was there, and I think Hop Hog even um, as an American, I think it won like the first three or four Potus 100s or something like that too. It was amazing. But yeah, I think Biggie Juice was the biggest of those. There was Jedi Juices from Hop Nation as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Biggie Juice, and then there was probably the Hawaiian Haze from Ballistic. That might have been a little bit later,
That
but
was a bit later, I think. Yeah.
yeah. While Lockie from FAF was still there though. Yeah. So
Um,
yeah, look, everything's looking good for Feral. I think. Good
yeah.
luck to them.
And like that campaign, like I've got in my mind that they did something pretty much exactly the same, like 5, 10 years ago, talking about things escaping from the lab and that sort of thing. That if it didn't happen, then it really kind of buys into their previous marketing and I guess attitude towards the market. It's been a bit silly, a little bit inventive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why
I
not have
like
a
it.
bit of fun with it? Yeah, love it. Doesn't hurt anyone. It's great. And speaking of West Coast IPAs, today is International IPA Day, the 7th of August. Neither of us are drinking an IPA.
No, I didn't even know about it till about half an hour ago.
Like International Beer Day last week, it seems to be an ever-growing marketing opportunity. Lots of breweries have done releases for IPA Day, like Hawkers and Hargraves Hill. The one that grabbed my attention this week was Mountain Culture have a 4 beer release for IPA Day. The ad, there was a video. They explained that as an agricultural product, it's the things don't sometimes go to work out. So beer number 3 has been dropped. So it's 3 beers for a release. I love the honesty and explanation about a beer not being up to standards, fails the brief, or a list of other issues because it is an agricultural product. It's unfortunate that they had cans printed, cost of materials, hours worked, energy costs. But if you want to keep up your quality and keep your products true to brand, I 100% get when a brewery has to dump a batch. But I thought the way they explained it, they probably marketed it as a 4 pack and then they've made the call that no, it's just a 3 pack, but you can throw another IPA in or something like that. So I thought that was really well done to deliver that message from Mountain Culture.
Yeah, it's nice when breweries handle things well. Um, it's not an exact science as much as it is a science. Things go wrong, right?
They do.
Things happen, systems break, taps fail, something doesn't get cleaned properly. Um,
Something doesn't
so
ferment the way you think it's going to, or yeah,
yeah, so yeah, you've got to decide on your level of beer quality and how many boxes have to get ticked before you release something. So
yeah,
yeah, I agree. I'm not happy, but it pleases me when breweries explain why they didn't release a batch and um, don't release things that shouldn't be released. So
yeah,
they got their number of boxes got to get ticked, didn't all get ticked, so they don't release it.
yeah. And it would have been tough, but yeah. You had that Carlton and United Breweries are on the hunt for an official beer taster after Tina has left after 30 years in the role.
Yeah, that's a long time. It's almost as long as I've been at Worlds. Um, Yeah, it's a pretty interesting story. Yeah, I think she's stepping down for 30 years, so they're on the hunt for a head beer taster. And whilst it sounds like an awesome job, and I imagine plenty of people lining up to sink piss at work. Like we've talked about with beer judging, it would be again ticking a bunch of boxes every day. I think I was reading that she samples up to 30 beers a day.
Yep.
So if
So
you're critiquing 30 years and ticking a bunch of boxes to say that yes, this 100,000 liters of beer gets released, and if you cock it up, that's 100,000 liters getting recalled. I mean, how big their batches are.
that'd be bigger than
Um,
that. Yeah.
yeah, like it's not
Yeah,
wouldn't
go.
be great fun. Yeah, it
No,
wouldn't.
it's the advertising has been absolute clickbait. I think one of the major news stations picked it up. Some of the comments, they're tagging all their mates and bogans and just gone crazy. When in reality, it's a laboratory job. It's for someone with a proven sensory experience. I'd say
Yep,
that CUB has a whole team of sensory people, and they probably have somebody already in line to step up as the chief taster. Um, that would be a really really hard job because you're not tasting necessarily 30 different beers. You might have 15 of the same beer, and then
yeah,
15 of another beer, and it's all about that true to brand and fault identification. And Tina's lovely. I've done quite a few competitions, and she's been chief judge at quite a few. The last time I saw her was at the Australian International Beer Awards in Melbourne, and she's lovely. And they're huge shoes to fill. But yes, it's a very technical, specific, scientific laboratory role to be a sensory analyst like that. But it might get them a bit of clickbait, bit of fun.
absolutely. Yeah, they'll get a bit of fun, bit of exposure out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And the thing is that, I think she mentioned that she tastes 30 beers in a day.
Mm,
You know what she does the next day?
30 beers.
Tastes pretty much the same beers again.
Yep.
So it's
Yeah. And
not like Colin has a massive wide spread of styles of beer. Like you'd be tasting the same beer 3 or 4 times a week. So
yeah.
yeah,
And you're not sinking beers. It's, you know, 15 mils, it's
15
quite,
mil
yeah, if that. Yeah, it's only
ticking.
ticking boxes, like you said.
Yeah, ticking 30 boxes off a 15 mil sample. So you've got to think about it and know exactly what you're doing and what you're looking for and what shouldn't be there.
Not to
Um,
mention, can't get the flu. Can't,
yeah,
yeah, that because your nose was 80% of flavor comes from your sense of smell. So yeah, you'd have to take time off if you got the flu. Um,
mm.
can't have spicy food. Got to keep things bland.
Can't
So
drink coffee, cigarettes,
can't drink coffee. You
perfume,
wouldn't want to
deodorant.
smoke. Yeah, you got to load. Yeah, keep neutral deodorants and soaps, and yeah,
Sounds like,
it's a big
sounds
job.
like a shit job.
Yeah,
Sounds like shit.
yeah. Yep. There you go.
Sounds like
Everyone
hard
just
work.
thought it sounded like fun. No, it's really tough. Yeah. You had the Australian War Memorial had recently had a donation of an imperial quart of Tooth's draft.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty cool story. Yeah. So apparently, this local pub in where was it? Wilmington, somewhere. They were gifting all the young fellas an imperial quart of this beer when they signed up for the war effort in World War II. And so these two guys had been mates since they were 5 years old. They had one of the beers, and then they agreed they would keep the other beer at home, and they would crack it open when they both got back from the war. Now, unfortunately, this guy's Stanley and Fred. So, yeah, they made this pact to drink it when they returned from the war. And unfortunately, he passed away as a prisoner of war on the Thai Burma Railway.
Mm.
So Fred came back to Australia and never drank the beer. His mate wasn't there, so he didn't crack it. And the beer's moved house with them a few times, and the family's taken it along. And now they decided to donate it to the Australian War Museum as I guess, a symbol of Australian mateship and the love that can survive through terrible things. I thought it was a cool story.
I love it. I love all about it, and how much something so simple as a quart of beer could mean so much to two families, and that'll be it's a great story to have there at the War Memorial. So lovely story. I like that one. Um, you had also uh, the battle where only the lawyers win.
Yeah, it's just one of those silly stories where a couple of brewers decided to throw lawyers at each other. So Better Beer, I guess, well, maybe they have dwindling funds these days, but I always had some funds to throw at lawyers to challenge a trademark that Tradie was trying to put in for a phrase. Tradie beer built better. IPS decided there wasn't any warrant in the challenge, and that Tradie were free to push ahead with the trademark. And I worked out it's because Better Beer was started out by two ex tradies and another guy. So that was obviously the reason that's part of their story that they've got on the website is that they were two ex tradies. And I couldn't find any beers or anything that talked about being tradie brewed or tradie built or anything. So I'm not quite sure how they thought the challenge was going to get up. And obviously IP Australia didn't think so either.
Mm,
But
yeah,
yeah, the Lowe's got their money.
yeah, interesting. Yeah, well, I know Better Beer has trademarked the saying "day for it." So if you
Yeah, that's right.
day
Yeah.
for it, it's actually trademarked. So um, yeah, the what is it? Unemployed, inspired unemployed guys from Better
Yeah.
Beer have really stepped back from the brand. They're doing their TV shows and things like that. I think they were trying to mature the brand, and it's available in more places now. It was exclusive to the Endeavour Group, but now it's available to everyone. I think Tradie is exclusive to Coles Liquor, maybe. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. Both pretty sure both brands basically are built from a contract brew model, and yeah, Tradie of course went into beers after what did they do? Deodorants and underwear, and
Underwear they had, yeah.
they had the honey badger doing some ads for them, and yeah, so I think they sponsor a V8 car now. So yeah. You had Russian beer news.
Yeah, Russian beer news. I have to read my iPad for this because there's some percentages and stuff. Um,
Well, don't get
yeah,
technical.
so apparently, oh, shoulder. Apparently, as a percentage, strong alcohol sales in Russia have fallen by 15% compared to last year. So that's the sale of vodka, cognac, fortified wine. So anything over 10% they class as strong alcohol. So that's all decreased by 15%. Beer sales have dropped by 16%, and wine dropped by 4%. And cider and mead were the only categories that showed an increase of 10% compared to last year.
Hmm.
Uh, and so the common thoughts on that are, again, excise tax being increased by the government, and they must have a system of a base retail cost of alcohol because that increased as well. So it must be enforced by the government, I suppose.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the Russians are suffering from alcohol excise as well,
interesting.
and apparently it seems that a lot of the demand that's fallen off from purchasing has gone into homebrewed alcohol. So yay, homebrew.
Interesting.
And that was the only beer news I could find for Russia. So I think the joke has run its course, and I'll be back onto WA beer news next week.
Well, you didn't get swiped from the KGB last week, so you haven't fallen out of a
No,
window. So Our 2%
Yeah.
obviously must be impartial, obviously. Um, it's
Unless they painted my back patio on the prison wall behind me,
yeah. Um,
I can't see anything.
the beer sales are probably dropped because they've all died at war in Ukraine. All the young soldiers.
It might be that, yeah, they're all, or maybe the Ukraine beer sales have gone up
Possibly,
because
yeah. They're
all the
drinking
Russians
it
are
over
there.
the border instead. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had that Kegstar are looking to buy Convoy, which is a massive turnaround as the founders of Convoy sold Kegstar originally and developed their own tracking rental company and further developed the GPS and temp monitoring little systems on the kegs. Um, I don't know if you know, but you can track every keg with Convoy and know if it's been kept outside because the temperature reading will be up. So you can see where it's been left, or if it's still being used. Obviously, it's going to be cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool monitoring system, and maybe by the sound of it, they went too big too fast. I know when I was in the UK, they had Convoy kegs in London, which I was really surprised to see, stacked up outside of a pub.
Yeah.
So the ACCC and the New Zealand body of the same um, need to approve the sale because Convoy's under VA, or it was under VA, because it'll be a market monopoly if they bought over the competitor. So it's really interesting. Kegstar, sort of started it all with the scanning the QR codes on the kegs, and then this Convoy came out after they had a 2 year non-compete clause or something. Came out with
Yeah.
better technology, with different keg sizes, and some companies stayed with Kegstar, some moved to Convoy, and it was you were either one or the other in this rental system that works for breweries that they don't have to buy their own kegs that often people steal. Having a rental system was made a lot more sense to breweries, and yeah, look, it looks like the original's going to buy the old.
Yeah, well, if they're under liquidation, if they don't get bought out, they'll go out of business and it'll be a monopoly anyway. So,
Why not?
I don't
Why not buy the assets cheap? And
know.
yeah, it's interesting. It'll be cool to see how this goes. My last beer news was Vale for Stuart Ritchie. He was laid to rest yesterday. A lot of our listeners will know him. He was one of the Tafe Queensland Brewing teachers. I had Stu on my table this year at the Royal Queensland Beer Awards. He was a really passionate bloke, so condolences to Stu's family, friends, those who worked with him and learnt from him, because I know we'll have a few people listening who knew Stu. So that's a bit of sad news there before we move on to spirit news.
So was he teaching at Tafe with Hendo, same course?
He was at the Mount Gravatt doing on the Brewmeisters the smaller kits
Yep.
before you go over to Brew Lab and work with Matty Wolf at Brew Lab. I think Hendo does some teaching there now, not as much. Um, but yeah, you do sort of more theory and smaller stuff at at the campus it's either South Bank or Mount Gravatt, I can't remember, and then you move up to the big kit at Brew Lab. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, um, yeah. So you had in Spirit News,
Oh yeah, I meant to mention this when you were talking about the excise.
yeah,
Yeah, so it seems that there was no form of any tax excise relief for the spirit industry. So we got beer industry got the freeze on draft beer, but spirits didn't get any freeze at all. So they're getting smacked with the 1.6% increase
yep,
this month, and so that's gonna affect the whole industry apart compared to beer, where we get a relief on draft sales. So maybe that does tie into maybe it being a good idea of the Brewers and Distillers Associations joining up. So we're all battling for the same results,
yeah.
fighting the same fights.
A standard drink is a standard drink, I guess. You know, I've done maths before that if they taxed per standard drink, that spirits would come down, wines would go up, beers would come down a little bit, RTDs would come down, and we basically wouldn't have casks. You wouldn't have cask wine. You wouldn't have cask ports. No way in hell would you have cask ports.
I
Um,
can't support it.
yeah, you're looking at $80 for a cask of port if we went on a standard drink taxation system. You know, you could pay $30 for a bottle of rum, but you'd pay $80 for a cask of port. So
Yeah,
that didn't work. But I did all the maths. I broke it down to standard drinks taxing and
yeah,
percentage of actual, because they tax on pure ethanol percentage on the beers like and the spirits. So yeah, I don't know what the solution is, but it's an absolute minefield. I give it to anyone who can work out the Australian alcohol taxation system.
yeah, yep.
Yeah, keen to
Even the tax rates on beer and different size containers, like, it's just madness.
yeah
It's
yeah.
just,
And if you
I don't know,
sell it like growlers and squealers and yeah. In sport
just
news,
silly,
yeah,
silly stuff.
you had the tyre management from McLaren for the Hungarian tyre strategy last week.
Yeah, no, then whoever's in charge of tires at McLaren, geez, they do a good job. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, they absolutely nailed the strategy for Oscar.
Yep.
And this race, they both had him at the front. And if there was one more lap, it would have been very, very interesting whether Oscar got in front or not. I reckon he should have saved that dive on lap 69 and had a crack on the 70th. He would have been right up his bum,
Yeah.
putting pressure on every single corner. Yeah,
Well,
Lando's tires were off, so
they said
he could have quite easily made a mistake.
they said that Lando was out of it, um, and then they asked him if he could go for a one stop, and he did. He had nothing to lose,
Yeah,
and it worked for him. So yeah, good on him. I had that. It was really cool to see Liam Lawson do the best out of the Racing Bulls and Red Bull family. It seems like he's, maybe doing a bit better now that he's in the junior team again. Gabby did really well for Sauber, got points again. And I got news earlier today that Franco Colapinto had a huge crash. They in the 2026 Pirelli test day, so a bunch of teams stayed back and tried 2026 Pirelli rubber stuff they're going to use next year. And yeah, he had a really big crash. They say he's okay, but it wasn't very good to see. And now we're 3 weeks off for the summer break and off to Sandvort. Um,
I
so
need to check, but I think Stroll got some qualifying points. I had a bit of a dig at him for having the record for the longest run with no qualifying points. I think he actually got some points this time, so might have broken his streak.
what racing like it finished in the top 10
No,
or
the
was he
qualifying. He hasn't
qualifying?
qualified in. Sorry, he's never gotten out of um
Three.
Q1.
Oh, sorry, he got into Q3. Yeah,
So I think he advanced one step in the qualifying, which broke his streak of not advancing. It's a
yeah,
shame.
yeah.
Hate to see records fall away. Oh well.
All right. And you had the Wallabies.
Wallabies, yeah, they as is their want every now and then, they absolutely dominated the British Irish Lions in every single facet of the game. And you got all the rugby pundits banging on about bring the Bledisloe home and toweling up the Springboks um, and all the jaded fans really desperately trying not to raise their hopes up. Uh,
What did the
I think
Lions do wrong? Did they only put their juniors on for this game, or
it was a torrential downpour. It was absolutely peeing down, and there was lightning strikes to start.
yeah? Oh, we might have experienced one now. You still there, Angus? I might have lost him. This is good
So that
podcasting. Oh, you there?
Pause. Yep.
I lost you. You had a lightning strike yourself.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, so they paused the game for 20 minutes because they had to wait 10 minutes until there was no lightning strikes. So there was a lot of jokes been thrown around about Will Skelton getting some bananas in and having a bit of a rest and being able to play out the second half.
Yeah.
Uh, he had a massive game, Will
So,
Skelton.
so
Maybe my views have changed. He was throwing his weight around and just being a general bully pest. It was great.
do you think because it was a dead rubber, they played differently, or it just sort of came together for them? What was it?
There was a lot of talk about the Lions celebrating quite a lot this week about taking out the series win.
Yeah.
Uh, and they arrested a few people that I thought was pretty strange. Surprised that Vanderwerver wasn't on the wing. He's a big guy, really hard to stop. I'm surprised he wasn't in the squad unless he was injured. I didn't hear anything, but yeah, there's a few selections I thought was a bit strange. A few other guys had played 6 or 7 games in the last 3 weeks. I thought could done with the rest.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Aussies were just being just downright physical. Yeah.
Well, just don't get away, don't get carried away. I think that's the
Just
message from
trying to,
today. Yeah.
yeah, like even like read posts from Australian rugby and people and they going, "Oh, we're going to take the Bledders at home." Like we won one game. Like calm down,
Calm down. Yeah.
calm down. Like
Oh, they probably needed it anyway. So yeah, good for the crowd.
I think it'll be good. It'll be good for the Wallabies as well, knowing that when when they're doing the right things and adhering to the plan and you know fronting up on the field on the day, they can beat these teams.
Yeah.
So a little bit of belief that they belong there. They've got the skills and the personnel and the I don't know the intensity to take these games out. They'll definitely need it against the Springboks and the All Blacks.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, it'll be good. Alrighty, mate. Well, lovely chat. I think we covered
yeah,
everything for today. And
yeah. I got nothing else.
cool. Well, as always, if you want to jump on to our Facebook group, ask us any questions, queries, thoughts, provoking, shit posting, anything you want commented on, we can do that. Thank you for listening or watching, and we'll see all of you next week. Cheers, Angus.
Cheers, everyone.
Enjoy your Belgium.
All right.